So this place normally opens at 6, but sometimes they do start early, and you park in the queue and they will come and give you a knock at the door if they're starting early. And this morning we got a knock at the door at 5 o'clock. So oh, it's a bit of a rush to sort of, you hear the knock and you're like, right, I've got to get up now. So I get up, dressed, put my car to work and straight out to do my daily checks. Also putting the sock on the back of the trailer and checking the new rim on my trailer that was put on yesterday. And once that's done, I can pull up to the sample point. Oh, sheet off. Right, let's go and take this out. These are milling oats for human consumption, so they must be tested thoroughly. I haven't even brushed my hair this morning yet, but I've been sampled. That was my first alarm, so this is the time when I should have been getting up. I can move forwards now. And I'm next in the queue after the truck that is already on the pit. Right, put my sheet back on. I'm gonna make a cup of tea. Andy was in front of me in the queue this morning, so he's just finishing off tipping and then I can get straight on. Only takes sort of 15-20 minutes to tip here, so it won't take us too long, and then I'm off to Banbury. So Andy's now finished tipping, he's pulling off the pit, and then once he's weighed out I can get onto the weighbridge, which is right next to me. Got my cup of tea obviously. I feel like I need that this morning. This looks like a very easy manoeuvre, but it catches quite a lot of people out. And I have seen many people struggle with it over the years. Once you've done it a few times, it's no problem. What I need to do is back onto the weighbridge, but also try to line up with the pit. You get a badge with a number and you've got to put your number in the computer to weigh in. It's been a while since I've done this, I forget. Please unload vehicle. And I've got to put that back in the top. This is a trickier bit because the pit is slightly off-centre to the weighbridge, but if you make allowances for that as you reverse onto the weighbridge, it makes it a lot easier. This pit has quite a large capacity, so I open the grain hatch first before tipping the body up. And that means that I will tip a couple of tonnes while I'm tipping the body up. And as you can see, the pit is still coping with it very well. This won't take long at all. I'm already down to 24 tonnes from 28 in a matter of couple minutes. It doesn't feel like long before we're at the last tonne and a half, and by the time I walk to the back of the trailer it's almost finished. So I take the grain sock off and undo the tailboard, letting the remainder out. I can then put the body down and pack my grain sock neatly away on the side of the trailer. I give everything a good clean out and shut the back door, making sure everything is spotless. And I make sure the pit is left in a tidy condition. Ready for the next driver, which today is my colleague Pete. That was 12 minutes all in all that took, so nice and quick. I pull up so I'm back fully on the weighbridge, and then I print my final weighbridge ticket. Oh, just over 28. Pete can go on the pit now. If you look closely, you can just see a glimpse of Pete pulling onto the weighbridge as I pull round the corner. And we all seem to be heading in different directions after tipping here. I am just going to fill out my ticket for Banbury. I feel ever so tired this morning. I think just being woken up before you're kind of supposed to, because normally I will set a couple of alarms. So I got like half an hour of waking up slowly. But today it was just like, bam, you gotta get up. Banbury is just over 2 hours from here, so I'm going to head down the M6, onto the 42, down the 40, and then go into Banbury that way. Here we go. I head out of the mill and under a low bridge, and because I have a shorter cab, I still have about 1.5 foot of room. I head down the A500 towards the M6 and make my way south on the M6. Even though I have struggled a bit this morning, because it's a Friday and it's in the summer, I am quite glad that I had no choice in starting an hour earlier. This extra hour I've gained could really help me out later on. I do, however, need a drop of fuel, so I pull into Kill, and I'm guessing that the BM lorry waiting behind the one on the pumps is waiting for AdBlue. I thought how we was parked that half the pumps weren't working, but they are. Right, I need to go and take my card in and get a drop of fuel. These pumps are quite slow, but at least I didn't have to wait for the pump. I fueled up, I've got myself a coffee, I'm feeling really tired and I've got a bit of a headache, so I've taken some Nurofen as well, and I've got myself some Lucozade, so hopefully that'll sort me out. Got a little bit of a cough coming. I'm wondering if that was stood at the side of the motorway in the wind and cold yesterday whilst waiting for my tyre to be changed. I was there for 3 hours and 3 minutes, which was useful. At one point I did think that the tyre fitter had forgotten about me, but when he got there you could tell that he had had a very busy day. He definitely looked like he could do with a pint. I continue down the M6 up until junction 4A, where I take the slip road for the M42 heading southbound, and I follow this all the way down to junction 3A for the M40. I stay on the M40 for about 30 miles and then I come off at Banbury. The place where I'm collecting from is just the other side of Banbury, so I need to go right through Banbury and out the other side. Banbury is the home of Coles Customs, but unfortunately I haven't seen any of their trucks today. I pull into the industrial area and make my way towards the weighbridge. They open at 8 AM and I have turned up at 9 AM, so I'm hoping that the morning rush has settled down. Looks quite busy in here today, which is not good. I reckon I'm going to be waiting a little while. I've weighed in now and I'm just waiting for my turn to go in the shed to load. It's actually not as bad as I thought, and the lorry that was loading is already coming out, and I am next in line to be loaded. All of the rest of the trucks that are waiting in here are waiting to tip. All I need to do now is reverse straight back into the shed. And as I've said before, it's never easy to back into a dark shed from a very light area, as you can't really see what's behind you until you're through the door. And this is why, as I drove past the door, I looked into the shed to make sure that there was no obstacles. As I'm getting loaded, I have a quick check on Google Maps to see the best way back. I'm just having a quick look on the map whilst I am loading, trying to work out the best way to get back from here today. There are 3 routes I would normally take depending on traffic, but all 3 routes probably, well, there's probably 4 all in all. It's quite a strange place to get back from. It's kind of cross country, but there's one way that I favour more, and it doesn't look like traffic is built up anywhere yet, so I might just go that way. The trailer that I have today does not have an onboard weigher, so I need to get out on the last bucket and tell him when to stop when I'm at full capacity. This is quite a light and sticky product and is a mixture of pulse beans and rape meal. It tends to fill the trailer right up, so I give it a quick shunt before I put the sheet on. Close the sheet in here rather than outside. Yeah, puff of dust. That way all the product stays in the shed and not outside to encourage vermin. I can now head out of the shed and back towards the weighbridge.
Alert is complete. Drive safely.
Weighed out, got my ticket, and now back to Clumpton with probably my last load I will ever do at Wains Transport. All in all, this has been a very good visit, with a turnaround from start to finish of about 40 minutes, and that is something that you definitely want on a Friday. I head back down the lane towards the main road, and this time instead of going towards Banbury, I head in the opposite direction, down the A4260, before turning off to cut across to the A40, which takes me under a low bridge, which I won't be able to get under in my new job. Once I get to the A40, I head towards Gloucester, and as I get to the turn in for Birdlip, which will get me back onto the M5, I can see that I have a problem. The road down to Birdlip is closed. I am now going to have no choice but to head into Cheltenham to get back onto the M5. As you can imagine, Cheltenham is very busy, and it does take a while of fighting through the traffic to get through. By this time, my 4.5 hour drive is nearly up, so I'm going to head into the next services, which is Gloucester. And it looks like everybody else wants to get into Gloucester services as well. For the average holiday maker, Gloucester services always seems like a treat to them, but as a truck driver it just feels very overpriced. It also looks like I'm going to struggle to get to space in here. I notice that somebody I've passed wants to get out, so I reverse back so that I can get into his spot. It is a bit like musical lorries in here today, whilst everybody is fighting for a space. But eventually I managed to get reversed into a space, and just in the nick of time before my time runs out. Well, I didn't think I was going to get a space for a minute there, and I've pulled in with 4 minutes to spare. Thank goodness. I thought I was going to go over. Originally, I thought I was going to get down to Michael Woods if that road wasn't closed, but I've ended up in Gloucester, so God knows, it looks so busy in here. I decide to brave the services to go to the loo and get myself something to eat. As much as everything looks really nice in here, it's not a quick job. So I'm glad I'm out of there. People are just dawdling around in there like they've got all the time in the world, and I haven't, and it really gets on my nerves at this time of year. But I did pick myself up a soft joke Scotch egg. Quite looking forward to that. There's also still a massive queue of cars waiting to come in. I only have about 5 minutes of my break left now after all that in there. With all the rushing about this morning and just being taken by surprise by being woken up a bit earlier than I expected, I've kind of forgot to say that actually this is my last day at Wains Transport. I've had a few emotional moments this week so far, a bit up and down, going to see some of the regular customers. Because it's harvest, we are going back to the usual few that we go back to every single year and kind of saying goodbye to them. But to be honest, today it's been such a rush around that I've hardly thought about it. It just feels like a normal day. It's like I'm thinking, right, I've got to get on with this because I got 5 minutes left on my break. Like, what they're going to do, sack me? Well, it might dock my wages. I'm not going to say where I'm going to next. I will still be working as a truck driver. I don't start there until September, so I'm going to have a 3-week break, and then I will start the new job, and it probably be 2 or 3 weeks after that before I actually put another video out, because I want to get used to the job. I don't want any distractions in getting used to the job, so it will be a little while. But I know I've been a bit lapse with the videos this year. I've really struggled. Last year I put one out every single weekend and it was a lot. It was almost too much. I got really burnt out. Something happened in January. So like I said on my previous video, this is the 3rd time that I've handed my notice in at Wains Transport. I actually handed my notice in January. By chance, I seen an advert on Facebook for King's Heavy Haulage. They were looking for drivers and I emailed, not thinking anything would come back off of it. Got invited up for an interview. They really liked me. They offered me the job and I accepted. And then I remembered that something hadn't happened for quite a while. So I went home that weekend and did a pregnancy test, and I was actually pregnant. I had to turn the job down at King's, and I wouldn't change that decision, even though I was really looking forward to that job. It was the right decision. I don't see the point in going into a job where you don't know how strenuous the job would be, when I know at Wains that Rachel got through her pregnancy, and I know that, you know, if you're not doing things like clay or silly loads where you have to dig stuff out, you can get through a pregnancy. So to me, the sensible decision was to stay. And then I had really bad morning sickness, which just completely took it out of me. And then when I was close to 3 months, I miscarried, which obviously took a big toll on me mentally and physically. I keep pushing through, but my body hasn't got over it. I put on a bit of weight that I cannot shift for the life of me. My joints absolutely kill, and I don't know, this is a thing that happens to women after they miscarry, which has kind of got me down a bit. To be honest, I've just really struggled. So I'm going to take 3 weeks. I've booked myself in to the doctor to get a few things sorted out because there's a few things amiss. Get my health back right again. Also need to do 2 CPCs because my CPC runs out in September and it hasn't been sorted out in the last 5 years. On my 3 weeks off, I want to look for a video editor because I'm finding it so tough to work full time and edit the videos, and hopefully this will give me more time to make better content. I think my only option is to find a video editor that can work with me and produce decent videos. And then hopefully I can start putting a video out every week again. And obviously we've got a lot to do on the house. So hopefully in those 2 weeks I can get a good portion done so that I can go into the new job without having to worry about the house. But anyway, that's my plan. So hopefully in around 6 to 8 weeks, you'll know where I'm going to work. Hopefully with new interesting video and content. I think you're going to really like it actually. The only thing I'm going to say is I won't be driving a Scania anymore. It's getting really warm now and my break's over, so I'm going to head back down to Clumpton to tip this. And I think, hopefully, this is it. My last load. I make my way out of the services and back onto the motorway. And it's not long before I hit a bit of traffic, but watch this car go down the hard shoulder because he just doesn't want to wait. And this is not even close to a junction to get off at. The traffic continues to be slow all the way down to Bristol and continues over the Gordano Valley, but the good thing is that most of the time it is still moving. It does clear as I get past Weston-super-Mare, and the traffic does look quite heavy going back the other way as I go past Bridgewater, but luckily I'm not heading home tonight. It's taken me a little longer than expected, but eventually I get off at Clumpton and head towards the mill that I'm tipping at. As I pull in, I do have to wait as there is somebody in front of me, but when I get to the Weybridge office, I have a nice surprise. Well, I've just been in round to try and tip this load, and it's tomorrow's load and they don't have room for it today. So it looks like, thank goodness, I will not have to ever tip a load of pulse again. This stuff is so awful to tip, so I'm quite pleased that I don't have to do it. I'm just going to give the office a quick ring before I head back.
Hi Gemma.
Hello, alright?
How's it going?
I'm just in Clumpton and they said that this is tomorrow's load and they don't have room for it today.
That's it, come on back then.
Yeah, alright then.
Don't go on the wash is broke. They're not wash. Wash is okay, we've run out of water. They've got a water leak in the industrial estate here, so we've got no water pressure.
Oh right,
Alright.
okay.
See you later. Bye.
It looks like I won't be washing the lorry either. I'm a bit gutted that I won't have one last wash of the truck. I don't like to leave on a Friday without the truck being clean, so I'm going to feel a bit weird about leaving it dirty, especially on my last day, but it is what it is. I head back down the lane to the yard and truck spotter Kieran is outside. I give him a little beep as I head into the yard and it looks pretty empty. And for a minute it seems like I'm one of the first ones back, until I head towards the AdBlue pump and there is a massive queue around the corner. I do pull up to my trailer and get my brush off of my trailer. I must remember to actually pick that up later. This trailer needs to be dropped so that it can be tipped tomorrow, so it's looking like my best option to do that first. This does mean that I have to blindside it, but there are no other trailers on the hard stand-in, so I have plenty of room to manoeuvre. I'm going to see if that is in the right place. I'm going to come forward just a smidgen. That should do it, and now I will drop my trailer. The reason I have to be in just the right place is because there is just one strip of concrete to drop the legs on, and that strip will hold 3 to 4 loaded trailers depending on how close they're parked together. And sometimes it is quite hard to see where the concrete strip is as it's so muddy and dusty in the yard. I carefully pull forwards and drop the air before I pull out from under the trailer, leaving the paperwork for the load with the trailer, and I go and park the unit out of the way so that I can get my car up close to it to start unloading. I am quite worried that I won't fit all the contents of my truck into my quite small car, but I am going to have to give it a good go. I actually managed to get the majority of my stuff out of the truck before we head off for some leaving drinks, which have been kindly organised for me in the local pub. So we've all finished.
On my best side then.
I will. We've all finished up now and my boss is taking me to the pub so I can have a couple of drinks. We couldn't have actually asked for some better weather to sit out in the beer garden and relax, and there's always one that orders a full steak meal with their pint. And as per normal, there's always one that's late to the party.
Sorry, I got go.
Sure, yeah, go on.
I'll be about right, wouldn't it?
We've come across a bit of a problem as we've tried to leave. Farmer has left his lights on, so now Owen is going back to get the jump pack so that we can go and have a curry at James's house. I've been dropped back to the truck after going for a couple of drinks and having a curry, and it's been an absolutely lovely evening for a celebration of 7.5 years at Wains Transport. It does feel a bit strange in this truck now because I have got rid of nearly everything. I have no light board. My light board was up there. I have no fancy mirror. I have very black curtains instead of my satin red curtains. And it feels a bit like generic. And it seems quite sad, really. There's no personality in this truck anymore. I thought I'd be more tearful than I have been tonight. Actually, I've just really enjoyed it. I've got a bit still to do tomorrow. I need to take off my sun visor tomorrow. Good night. The next day, I pack the final few things into my car and make sure everything is wiped out and clean inside. Best way to get things in a convertible, take the roof down. It's amazing how much stuff you can fit into a truck, and this is the accumulation of 3 years of having this truck. So partway through cleaning out, I had to pop down to the services because my video just will not upload from the yard. I've had this problem before, but now I'm at the services and it will not upload from here, and I'm wondering if there's too many people down here taking up all the Wi-Fi. So I'm going to move again and see if I can get a better signal somewhere else. This is like the challenges of YouTube, what you don't see. I moved down to Tesco's and thank God I got better signal down here, and I normally put my videos out at 8:30 and it was literally dead on 8:30 when it uploaded, so I was quite lucky this time. I'm back at Wains Transport now and no one is here, although I think there'll be a few people in and out today. I have got to take my visor off. I've cleaned out all the inside, so that's the last thing to do. Don't know how I'm going to get that in my car, but strap it to the roof. The visor is actually a lot easier to take off than it is to put on. Using the forklift with the cage on it makes the job a lot easier, and Farmer turns up just at the right time so I can pass it down. And he offers me a cup of coffee whilst I take the brackets off. But look at where he puts my cup of coffee when he comes back. It's lucky I spotted it before I stepped down onto the ladder, else I might have been making myself another one. I would have been able to put the old visor back on, but another driver damaged their visor, so it was used on their truck instead. I've not been able to wash the outside of the truck, as last night when we got back, there was no water in the yard at all. We couldn't flush the loos, we couldn't make a cup of tea, so we couldn't wash the lorries. There was a water leak over there somewhere. Today, the water is back on, but there's no diesel, so I can't wash anyway. Well, that's it. She's all cleaned out now for the next driver. A lot has changed since I started at Wains Transport. In fact, the workshop was never there, and how I ended up at Wains is because I used to collect milk from farms, and we used to have a reload site, and the reload site was actually right here on this concrete, and where the workshop is now was a cowshed. Wains' workshop then was actually that building there. And there was a porter cabin just here, which was the office. And Gary Pratt, a driver at Wains Transport, messaged me to say they had a job going if I was interested. So after a couple of weeks, I thought about it for a bit and I messaged Gary and said, actually, I would like to have a go, and is the job still available? He said, right, I'll organise an interview with the boss and I'll let you know. And obviously because the office was over there and we used to reload the tankers here, he could already see that I could drive and that I was capable of driving the truck. So when I actually came for the interview, it was probably one of the most funniest interviews I've ever been to, because I sat in the office with him and he just smiled at me and went, so when can you start? Over the years, he's become a very, very good friend, and I can go to him for work advice and for life advice as well. I will be sad to go because, like I said before, this place has meant so much to me over the years, and it's been a massive part of my life. And I will be staying in touch with everybody here, and I will see them around, and it won't be like the end. I've got to pack all this away now. Thank you for watching, and I will leave you with a compilation of my last 7.5 years at Wains Transport.